I think we got us an email question that we can get us started on this topic. What does it mean to settle a claim, Maddie? A very short, sweet question, but very, very on point for what we're talking about tonight.
It is, and it's right in line with what we do for a living, which is handle personal injury claims, which most often typically do resolve through a settlement, out-of-court settlement. So, Maddie, I appreciate the question. I appreciate the brevity of it. Most of the time we're still reading the original email question, but yeah, it's a great question. What does it mean to settle a case? Essentially, it means that you have met the conditions and the terms. Two parties have come together, two or more parties have come together, and they've agreed to resolve their dispute, and they reduce it to writing, and it basically signifies the end of a legal claim. In the personal injury world, we're talking about injury cases. That typically means we've made a claim against somebody or their insurance company. Insurance for injuries, the insurance company offers money. We go back and forth. We come to terms on how much money our client is willing to accept. We reduce it to writing. They send us a check. The case is over. But once the case is over, people oftentimes come back. A lot of times in our world, we're dealing with people that have injuries that may linger well past the time that a case either settles or goes to trial and you get a jury verdict. So, you settle the case. What about coming back for more?
Right, and there's a lot of issues with timing of the settlement can be very important. I actually had a lengthy discussion with a client this week about the importance at times of trying to settle a claim quickly because, the amount of insurance that an individual has is not the extent of their liability, but in many circumstances, for a practical matter, that's the most you can get because there are a lot of protections in Florida. You cannot go take someone's homestead. Wages can be exempt under many circumstances. So a lot of times you're dealing with what's the available insurance is going to be the limited amount of recovery, or is going to limit the recovery you can get. And there becomes other factors that can play into why you need to try to get that done quickly. For example, if you have health insurance, it will kick in and pay your medical expenses as secondary insurance after your PIP, the no-fault benefits that we have discussed many times, have paid out, which is the health insurance that's built into your auto policy that's $10,000. It pays at an 80-20% copay deductible type of scenario. But if your health insurance has to kick in, they are entitled to get reimbursed when you settle the case out of the proceeds of that settlement. But the timing of that reimbursement gets cut off as soon as you settle the case.
That's right.
So if you're dealing with a situation where there is little insurance, it's imperative to try to get that settlement of that claim done sooner rather than later so that you can have your health insurance continue to pay without having it eat up and take away the entirety of your settlement process.
Right, and that's one of the things, we always oftentimes on this show, we say, hey, you really want to talk to an attorney to talk about that issue, whatever it may be. And we talk about personal injury cases and how we handle those, and that's one of the main reasons why you want to talk to an attorney is because you want to make sure not only are your rights being protected, but that your exposure for any liens or any obligations that you may have by virtue of the fact that you received a settlement, you want to make sure that that exposure is as limited as possible. So the most classic examples, like what Ted said, you have somebody that has an injury. It could be anywhere from a moderate, minor injury to a catastrophic injury. But if the injury if the injury claim is worth more than the available coverage, oftentimes we can get the available coverage, but then what do we do with the medical expenses? If you have private health insurance that pays those medical expenses and you can settle a case before major expenses are incurred or major expenses are billed to your insurance, the lien cuts off most of the time at the date of settlement. So you can oftentimes have essentially have your cake and eat it too. You can get your treatment and not have to pay for it out of your settlement money if you have valid health insurance that has
and there's always caveats to that when you deal with certain federal plans.
But it's what we do.
That's why you need help and you need assistance because I have seen individuals settle the claim on their own. They get a check, they think it's all good, they go and spend it, and then here comes Florida Blue or Medicare knocking on wanting their reimbursement rate, and it can have serious implications because if you don't have that money, you can have your benefits cut off.
Especially if you're dealing with Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE, VA, any government subsidized or government provided benefit. Their interests are protected by either state or federal law, and you can really find yourself in trouble if you do not protect those liens, which again is one of the primary things we do when we resolve a case is we make sure you're protected from those entities coming back after you by satisfying whatever
Right.
their obligations are.
Because just when you settle the case and those checks change hand does not
Right.
mean that your rights that you need to take care of and your responsibilities end. There's
Right.
many things that still need to be done and need to be taken care of to make sure that your medical expenses are being paid and that you're getting to the finish line and getting, as close to back to where you were from before the action as you can.
Yeah, great question, Maddie. Appreciate that. Yeah.